Oh, so now they're sorry. Now they want to talk about what they didn't mean, what they didn't know, and what they didn't expect. But where were those words when they were busy tearing you apart? Where was that remorse when they laughed at your pain like it was a show? You see, it's funny how apologies only show up after the damage becomes permanent, after the light in your eyes turns into something colder, sharper, untouchable. They didn't want to understand you when you were kind. They only want to fix you now that you've become the storm they created. They called you dramatic for feeling, weak for caring, foolish for staying. They told stories about you, twisted truths, poisoned your name. And when you finally snapped, when you finally stopped caring, suddenly you became the villain in the story they wrote. But tell me, who's the real villain here? The one who was made from betrayal, or the ones who laughed while they broke you? Because you didn't wake up cruel. You were pushed there. You didn't crave destruction, you simply learned it from them. Now they see you quiet, calm, distant, and it terrifies them. Because that silence means they can't reach you anymore. You don't react, you don't explain, you don't chase. You just exist in peace, and that peace is the loudest revenge you'll ever need. They never thought their actions would build a version of you that doesn't flinch, that doesn't believe in love the same way, that doesn't trust smiles, doesn't fall for promises, doesn't beg for closure. They turned your empathy into calculation, your softness into strategy, and now they whisper, "You've changed." No, you adapted. You grew armor where they left scars. You learned to breathe fire where they tried to suffocate your voice. They used to mock your kindness, now they fear your silence. They used to take advantage of your love, now they miss it like oxygen. Because what they broke wasn't just your heart, it was the bridge back to you. And now, no apology can rebuild what their ego burned. You see, they wanted control, but they ended up creating chaos. They wanted power, but they handed it to you. Because once someone loses your empathy, they lose the last part of you that cared to stay. And they don't realize it until the door closes for good. Now they lurk in the shadows of your peace. They replay every memory, every word, every choice, wondering where it all went wrong. It went wrong when they mistook your patience for weakness. It went wrong when they thought your loyalty was infinite. They said you'd come crawling back, but you never did. They said you'd regret leaving, but you found freedom. And now, their biggest punishment is realizing that the villain they created no longer needs them at all. That's not revenge, that's consequence. They're not sorry because they understand. They're sorry because they lost control. Because the person who used to beg for their time now doesn't even flinch at their name. They're sorry because they can't manipulate what doesn't feel anymore. They wanted to see you broken instead. They witnessed your evolution. They wanted to be the hero of your story. Instead, they became the lesson. And now every time they hear about you, they have to live with the truth. You didn't just survive, you ascended. You became the version of yourself they swore would never exist. The cold one, the focused one, the one who doesn't forgive so easily. And in that transformation, you became untouchable. Their words don't cut, their guilt doesn't matter, they lost that privilege long ago. You walk differently now, steady, quiet, dangerous. You speak less, but when you do, it's truth, and truth hurts them more than any scream ever could. You're not cruel, you're precise. You don't hate them, you just don't care. And that's something their egos can't comprehend. Because in their heads, they were the main characters. But in your story, they were just a lesson, a painful one, yes, but one that taught you exactly how to stand alone, unshaken, unbothered. They wrote your downfall, but you rewrote your ending. Now they watch you from afar, proud in public, regretful in private. They still talk, still pretend, still minimize, but their eyes tell the truth. They miss the version of you that would have forgiven them. Too bad that version doesn't exist anymore. Oh, so now they're sorry? Now they want to talk about peace, about healing, about how things used to be? No. Let them keep their apologies. Let them taste their regret. Because this calm, composed, dangerous version of you is what happens when angels finally stop trying to save people who love the fire more than the warmth. You didn't become heartless. You just stopped bleeding for people who never bled for you. So when they call you a villain, smile. Because villains don't beg. Villains don't cry. Villains don't break. They learn. They rise. They build. And that's exactly what you did. They're sorry now, but it's too late. You're already gone. And your absence? That's the most haunting apology they'll ever get. Funny, isn't it? The same mouths that once mocked you now whisper your name like a warning. The same eyes that rolled when you cared now follow you with regret. Because they thought they'd win by breaking you. But they didn't know you'd learn how to build yourself from the wreckage. You became everything they swore you couldn't be, self-contained, silent, sovereign. You don't need them to validate your worth anymore. And that's what burns them the most. Not your distance, not your indifference, but your freedom. They expected a meltdown. You gave them evolution. They expected vengeance. You gave them indifference. You see, nothing terrifies small minds more than realizing their cruelty made you untouchable. You grew colder, yes, but you also grew wiser. Now, when they see you, they see the cost of their own actions. They see what it looks like when an angel stops praying and starts walking away. They see what happens when someone finally understands that love without respect is self-destruction, and it kills them quietly. Their apologies never reach you, they die in their throats, swallowed by ego. Because even if they said the words, you wouldn't care. Not anymore. Forgiveness is a luxury you no longer hand out for free. They used to think silence meant weakness. Now they understand silence is finality. It's the sound of doors that don't reopen. It's the echo of lessons they refused to learn when they had the chance. You walk through life lighter now. No guilt, no chase, no need to explain. You realized peace is better than revenge because peace lasts longer. Peace doesn't depend on them. Peace makes you immune to their chaos. And that immunity drives them insane. They lurk in the aftermath, pretending they don't miss you, pretending you didn't matter, but oh, you did. You became the mirror that showed them who they really are. And they hated it. They tell people you changed. You didn't change, you woke up. You stopped begging people to see your value. You stopped confusing attachment for loyalty. They thought you'd stay stuck, circling their orbit like a lost satellite. But you built your own galaxy, and now they're the ones lost in the dark. Their pride won't let them admit it, but every time your name surfaces, their chest tightens a little. They scroll through your life in silence, trying to read between the lines, wondering if you still think of them, wondering if there's still a chance. There isn't, because the door didn't just close, it vanished. You don't even live in the same dimension anymore. They're still chasing closure. You're chasing purpose. They're still talking about the past. You're designing the future. They call you heartless because they can't reach your heart anymore. They call you cold because you stopped burning for them. But what they'll never admit is that you didn't become heartless. You just gave your heart a higher standard. Now, when people mention them, you don't even flinch. You just smile, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because you finally understand that they were never your ending. They were just the plot twist that woke up the main character. Let them be sorry. Let them replay it all in their heads, over and over. They'll never get to rewrite what happened. They'll never get another version of you. The chapter's closed, and the villain walked away with the crown. So yes, they're sorry now. Sorry that they mistook love for weakness. Sorry that they built their ego on your patience. Sorry that they created something they can't destroy anymore. But the truth? You don't need their sorrow. You don't need their words. because the person they turned into a villain finally found peace. And peace, real, untouchable peace, is the most terrifying revenge of all.